Thanks, Andy. So, first of all, those of you who were here yesterday, there was a chap called Ben from GDS who mentioned they were part of this, they were a contender for an award. They actually ended up being the design of the year in the digital category. They got that announced yesterday afternoon, so congratulations to them. For me, what GDS have done is actually an inspiration, and I think it will inspire other governments, companies large and small around the world with how they've done it and that kind of team. So, on to what we're here to really talk about today. How to survive the winter north of the wall.
This is not protocol.
That's later on. Right. Okay. Why we're really here today is to talk about, as Andy mentioned, a case study. A case study that we call Endless Aisles. And for those of you who don't know Tesco are a big retailer in the UK. So we wanted to share a few of the details about that case study here. So the task that we were given was one of fusing the physical aspect of Tesco. They have many physical stores with that of their online touchpoints, their digital touchpoints. And specifically, we are working with a part of Tesco called Tesco Innovation. We, as ribot, are their design counterparts. And so one of the things that's happening in the physical retail space is that things are changing immensely fast, and we're wondering, where is it going? Where's the next step? So this is part of it.
And I think this project was to try and tackle like a worry of many mainstream retailers against the likes of Amazon who don't have any physical space.
So again, rolling on from yesterday, we also had a two-pizza team consisting of Ben, Jerome, and Tara. For a little bit more detail, Ben is a motion designer. Tara is what we call a human-centered designer, sketching, wireframing. She considers the user, the participant. And Jerome is just the visionary, pulling things together. And then in this case, we have two Tesco value pizzas, extra cheese, extra smarter. Right, so take a step back for a second. What are the current pain points for Tesco in their physical stores? Let's go through a few of them. Number one is that they're constrained simply by the physical size of the store. They can only contain so many products within that space. And the problem gets even worse when you start to consider the larger objects, many of which are already available online. Again, in a store experience, in a physical experience, search is actually physical. It's compared to its digital or online equivalent, it's actually quite laboursome. So it's manual. Could we tackle that? And there's also currently there's this disconnect between the physical store and, again, their online equivalents. One feels, they do share some commonality, but they still feel like separate experiences. NKS, and this is one thing we were really concerned about when we were starting this project. Nasty kiosk syndrome. For me, it makes me think of QR codes, and QR codes by default are a negative experience. Kiosks by default, in my view, are a negative experience. People don't want to be seen using them. So how could we create a new kind of experience that could not suffer from this syndrome?
Yeah, it'd be actually quite a positive one, so that was good.
So over to Jerome for some possible solutions.
Of which there are many, and I'll just surface some of the key ones that were of interest to us. So these are some of the sketches that we were doing on possible experiences. On the top left, you've got a kind of a passive large screen display in the store that's controlled by some kind of secondary device. The master device could be a phone, perhaps. Tesco have lots of physical building space, especially the outside of their stores, that's not really being used for anything, really. there is an opportunity perhaps to use that for something more interactive, or something more information-based. The search issue, like how do you find a product that you need to find? It's not very easy right now. Perhaps there's something we could do around locating a product with some kind of system, bottom left there, in store, perhaps dotted around the store. What about something more social? There could be something that we could do around making a more social experience in the store for perhaps more aspirational, higher value items, potentially. But the one we went for was this one. It was trying to really think about the physical and the digital in a much more cohesive way, and really trying to bring together something much more holistic. So we actually take a physical shelf and we rip out parts of the shelving and replace it with something digital.
Which is quite a political thing in Tesco.
Yeah, because space is, it's all about space, it's all about shelf space. So taking something out, taking shelf space away, is controversial for them. Here you can see an illustration of how it potentially could work. So we went with this.
Okay, and this is really just an example. This is the real size of the device that we were designing for here. So Jerome and I have been in small screen for the last 10 years or so. We're not used to really dealing with this. So when Jerome goes into the finer detail points of the design subtleties, that's kind of really the nuggets to take away from this talk. But this is the endless aisle device, and those are the shelves that it's sat next to.
In an abstracted way, of course.
Yeah.
Yep. So
again, to give you a little bit more context to the problem that we were tackling, it was specifically in the toy aisle. So we were tasked with bringing the 15,000 toy products that Tesco have online into this more physical environment. And we did that by using that 80-inch touchscreen experience. We wanted to make it feel, there was this kind of fusing between physical and digital. We wanted to make things more physical. So the opportunity that the 80-inch gave us was that we could make the products bigger and more real size, more life size, I guess. Another key aspect to this experience, you can see at the bottom of the unit, is the printer. It is a digital experience with physical touch, but we wanted people to walk away with a physical transactional token. Again, we took lean startup principles. It was an assumption that we were going to test over a period of time.
And just in relation to that, the Tesco already have an infrastructure that supports this, so we wanted to make use of behaviours that people already do anyway, and just design around those as well.
So another sketch of the, I guess, the vision at the start. So what was provided to us was a 12-week in-store trial. Tesco don't really do this up until very recently. So in the 12 weeks, our goal was to perform as many experiments week in, week out, to test as many of the assumptions as possible, and to learn as much as possible, because them as a retailer have never done anything like this before.
Great. So, this is about the big screen, right? 80 inches, massive. Not too massive, but massive enough. But really, the talk is about the small details. I'm just going to go through a few of these little nuggets that we've designed, just to make the experience that much better. The first one is search, and for me, search is fundamentally different on a device of this type than it would be on the web or mobile. It's just a different form factor. You can see here is man, and here's a conventional layout of potentially some search results. Because of the size of the device, we need to think differently about how to display those results. Displaying them at the top of the screen, perhaps, and cascading downwards, wouldn't be the most effective or efficient way to display. Maybe we need to change the way they're laid out. So actually, we display the results in the center of the screen. It's a small detail, but it's something that you need to consider. It's adaptive, so it doesn't matter how many results are returned. It's always flexible. But the point is, it's much easier if you think about things like this. A separate point was you have the priority order of results. Normally, yes, from top to bottom, the highest priority goes at the top. For us, people are using the display, and they're standing in the middle. I mean, the guy here is on the left, but the reality is they're always in the middle. So actually, where do you display the most prominent results? It's actually not the top left. Your eye isn't drawn to that area, it's drawn to the centre, your eye line, your hand line. That's where you should display the prominent results and work your way outwards from that. So that's what we've done here. You can see the numerical. So eye line is most important, 1, 2, 3, and then below 4 is most important next because it's in the centre and then it works its way outwards. It's a different way of thinking about arranging results. We are a massive campaign for simplicity. I think loads of you guys are, I'm sure. We want to make sure that we're not showing you anything more than you need to at any particular point in time in the experience. With the UI, we wanted to just strip it down to the basics. So here we have, again, this display, and we have a simple arrangement of what happen to be images. These are just images. We're not showing you any more information. We're not showing you price. We're not showing you rating. We're not showing you description. We're just showing you the actual image. What we're doing is we're using proximity. So that as you walk towards, you're actually shown more information at a point where it's meaningful. From a distance, you don't care about the text. You probably can't even read the text. Up close, you start to care. Why do we show it when you're far away? We shouldn't. It's a small detail, but it's something it's nice to do. It's about simplicity.
And also acts as a feedback mechanism.
Yeah, exactly. So you feel connected straight away to the experience in a much more, in a subtle way, but it's still important. So authority. I mean, this is a toy. This is sitting in a toy aisle, and it's used by adults and children alike. So we have to think about certain aspects of what this entails for the design. So here is a printing button. I quickly hacked together a printing icon. That's not very good, but it's fine. And the printing aspect is really important for us. The ability to take something away from the experience and take it to what's called a click and collect kiosk to pay for the actual item. In the very early stages of the research, the printing button was quite low on the screen, and what that meant was that lots of kids were interacting as they should, but they were finding it very easy to print the cards that were being printed at the bottom, and it was just creating chaos. So we wanted to make sure that the parent had slightly more authority. We wanted to dissuade that behaviour. We didn't want to prevent it, we just wanted to make it a little bit harder. So actually, it's for a kid, I can't touch it. Or I find it a little bit more difficult to touch. And for an adult, perhaps it's a little bit easier. But we had to get the balance right. We don't want to sort of stop people who have an impairment, a handicap, someone in a wheelchair, or perhaps someone we care about. And we want to make everyone's life happy. Happy. I'm sure happy. Yeah, so that's really important. And there's something else that it's about height. It's about height. There is something that we wanted to make sure that people could do. We wanted to make sure that everyone could browse the experience. We wanted to make sure that everyone could discover and explore. On the left-hand side, you see a simple menu icon thing. It basically is a representation of the menu system, which happens to be on the left-hand side. We wanted to make sure that it was adaptive, that it was personalised in a really subtle, meaningful, UI-orientated way. We wanted to use Connect. See, at the top of the screen, we're using Connect a number of different things, but at the top of the screen is a little circle. That's the motion detection element, which will detect how tall the person is. What we can do in a really simple way is change the position, the default position of the menu to suit the needs of that particular person who's using it. And so, small child, medium child, or smallish person, large human, and it just adapts to the needs of that user. It does so in a simple way, so it's not like always jittering about and jolting about. It's just really straightforward. And it's those small things that we wanted to do to make sure that everyone could use it, child or adult.
So So looking beyond just digital, I've mentioned, we both mentioned this ticket, this transactional token a few times already. And so I just wanted to show you a few more details about that. So it had two parts. It was actually one of the most expensive parts other than the display of the whole experience. A high print run, a print cost, but the part on the left was the bit for the child to take away, a little playful bit. But the part on the right, a more functional, transactional part.
For the adult.
For the adult, yes. And again, the thing we were testing in terms of an assumption was that by having something physical, it would help to induce a kind of more of an emotional attachment to the experience and end up with a more memorable experience.
And so we're playing a very careful game here. We don't want to create a negative experience for the parent. Mummy, mummy, please give me this dog. Mummy, mummy. We want to get the balance right. So you have to find an interesting middle ground. But we're trying to appease both people by giving something to each. The child and the adult is given something to take away.
And so this is just an example of three of the probably 25 different cards that they could collect. So again, playing with this assumption of could there be the completion of sets, the notion of collection. So I got 21 of the 22. I must go and get that 22nd to complete the set.
And crucially, it encourages people to come back to the screen another time. It's not whimsical. It's not, it actually has a meaning and it has a value and it has a fun aspect. But it fundamentally is tied into the products as well. Ambient distraction. Don't watch that eye or mess your head up. I should have made it anime. So there are two things here we wanted to do with some notion of ambient attraction. The display sits in an aisle. It has to know its place. The aisle sits within the store. It's not the only thing in your peripheral vision. There's lots of other stuff going on. We wanted to make sure that people knew that it was there in a way that wasn't like shouting at you, but it was just saying, "Hey, I'm doing stuff. Come over. I'm friendly." There is also something else. The particular type of people who potentially might use this thing might not have the willingness to get it wrong, to make mistakes with their gestures or something, and also they might not have the time as well. So we wanted to do two things at once. So to engage people from afar and to educate them as to how to use this thing in a really simple way. We're not using any complicated gestures, just keeping it simple, but we're just trying to reinforce those things. So we have little an ambient rolling video, like you see in the Apple Store actually, which just goes through a few things. And so you can see the information coming through, the hand gesture showing. You've got on the left-hand side tap buttons for the menu. We're going through some of the basic components of the experience, just showing you how it works. And at any time the user walks up to the screen, this stuff disappears. So it's not going to interfere with your experience. Okay, I'm just going to tap on that rocket there. Looks great. Give it a cheeky spin, and yeah, I'm going to print it out. Notice the print button up there at the top, and yeah, and so it refers to the physical position of the printing area at the bottom of the screen, at the bottom of the component. Okay, that logo didn't go in at the end.
So this is the actual aisle before and after the unit, the device was installed. The frame looks very bland, grey, and very 80s, but for us, we just wanted to get the experience in there as quickly as possible, to learn as much as possible, and we could iterate through that 12-week period. So a few weeks later, the frame then looked like this. Less grey, actually probably no grey, more red, and more eye-catching, more Tesco. So wrapping up, in terms of the results of the whole experience, it actually ended up raising awareness, which was the key thing for Tesco. Awareness of the wide range of toys that Tesco have within their remit. It increased engagement and actually allowed people to explore explore and find products that they didn't really know existed. This was really important for us, really. It actually ended up inspiring people, adults and children, because it was simple, it was playful, but it also, a key thing for us was bringing the toys to life, and that helped with the inspiration.
There's aspects that we haven't shown, just as a short talk, but there are different ways that we brought toys to life using animation and video in a really simple, cohesive way.
It made the shopping trip easier. Basically, instead of physical search, you had different kinds of search in terms of you could search for developing a child's motor skills or numerical skills, so much, much easier that way. It had a strange effect in terms of people that the first experience they had with it was more of a discovery experience, and then they would return to it time and time again, and eventually, maybe the second or third time, they'd make their purchase.
This is actually the probably most interesting one.
Yeah. Half of the people that had this kind of experience would then go on to purchase one of the toys that they saw within the experience. It didn't have to happen within this device, but it would happen here, online, on your mobile, later on in the store. And so it was a success. It's still far from perfect. We're still learning lots. But it is actually rolling out to multiple stores around in this year. The hardest battle for us was keeping it simple. But I think what we've uncovered is maybe the start of how the retail experience, the physical retail experience, is going to be changing over the next few years.
And this is something that I think all children would really like, especially children like Joffrey. Here we go. Where is he? Hey! You would love that as a kid, right? Thank you very much.